None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. Consequently, the collective is a reflection of humanity's inner world of self-hatred and overwhelming feelings of fear. In particular, the global collective are under a thick veil of darkness, filled with fear where the light of love is quickly becoming impermeable, calling each of us to be a light unto ourselves. Unfortunately, many settle for lives of mediocrity, calling it contentment, all the while longing for greatness. Therefore, humanity's falsely perceived powerlessness will be the death of a great race of souls who have lost their way. The world as we know it is literally at a crossroads of which ancient scholars and texts passionately forewarned. Humanity, without much convincing, handed their lives over to those with less than desirable intentions. We have learned to live in the quiet desperation of unworthiness, meaninglessness, and fear. Now we must unlearn it. A great spiritual war is upon us between the souls of light and the souls of darkness. For thousands of years this moment in time was foretold, and it is by no accident each of you chose this period in time to be present, to be part of something great and monumental. In truth, the world is spinning out of control for the sole reason flagrant self-hatred and fear-mongering has reached fanatical levels across the globe. Moreover, the worldview doctrine lacks logical wisdom and spiritual truth. Again, logical wisdom and spiritual truth. Most of all, unconditional self-love, with a spiritual guiding perspective of first do no harm. In addition, the degradation of personal freedoms is at an ever-increasing level as humanity apathetically gives up divinely self-evident truths in exchange for a perceived sense of safety, which leads me to ask, how safe do you really feel in the current world power struggles for dominance? The fall and resurrection is upon us. Time is running out. Awaken from the spiritual slumber, hindering your courageous stand for truth. Again, what started centuries ago and was initiated in January 2020 can't be stopped. It is a time to bring clarity to confusion while returning spiritual order to a time of physical chaos. Do not hide behind the profound consent of fear, shuddering in your houses, feeling powerless and helpless, as you are neither. So stop acting hopeless. Sadly, many are undereducated and misinformed regarding the evil which lies hidden behind the scenes. Make no mistake, a spiritual war between the souls of light and those filled with seething darkness is playing out in the hearts and minds of an unconscious populace while they wait for the slaughter to ensue. We are globally experiencing a spiritual takedown in monumental proportions. That has been in the works for centuries. Even John F. Kennedy was aware of this fact because 7 days before his assassination, he stated, "There's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child." I am not speaking to religion nor spirituality. What I'm speaking to is the truth of what is. And each of you know this to be the eternal truth. The whole point of this conversation is to bring the souls of light back to their greatness, to remind all of what they are capable of and have been capable of throughout the centuries. Unfortunately, humanity is running out of time to figure this out on their own. Due to limited time, the only option at this point is for me to convey what I know to be true. What you do with this spiritual truth expressed in this and future conversations will be your true test. Tell me, when did the lie become the truth and the truth become the lie? I beg of you to take back your personal freedoms from those you apathetically gave your power to before it's too late. The world's power brokers maintain their controlling interests by fear and force, all the while telling you it is for your safety and greater good. Mark my words, these false sense of security that you think you have will bring you to your knees to question and seek the truth of what is. Unfortunately, by the time you are on your knees, it will be too late. The others have instilled a false belief system within each of us that states we are inherently unworthy of unconditional love, thereby destroying us effortlessly from inside out without having to lift a finger. The lies humanity so willingly accept as a statement of truth are nothing more than external conditioning turned inward, resulting in the masses being deeply committed to a fearful life of being sleepless in suburbia. The brilliant naturopath I once worked for said it best: the world is run by a handful of people who distract the many with a political circus while they, the elite, are doing other things. It would be in your best interest to pay attention and do the exact opposite of what they are telling you to do. Above all, humanity deserves to be free in the pursuit of happiness, as this is an inalienable right of free will and liberty regardless of race, age, or nationality. The other's only power comes from our self-conceived weakness. They are full of tricks, spreading fear and panic. But here's the thing: they can't defeat us when we stand together, united in the lockstep of truth. The only power they have is the power we give them. The souls of light can take it back any time they want. The power held by the few is equal to an overpowering ego gone astray. At what point did we start believing the lie anyone could ever know what was in our best interest better than us? Unfortunately, we serve at the pleasure of our governments, kowbowing in fear. Moreover, submission by coercion of force is not befitting of the souls of light. The current state of disempowerment we are all feeling is not by chance, but by design, and has been accomplished energetically by the others through incremental manipulation and perversion over the centuries, until this moment in time, when we have finally succumbed to the false beliefs that we are unworthy and undeserving to self-govern. This ill-fated submission and self-betrayal offer up the power of creative thought to those who desire to control this realm. Make no mistake, the others are very much aware of the fact that whoever controls the thoughts and the minds of the many dominates and has total control. And in truth, it is we who are not in full knowledge of who we truly are. We are here on this planet to express that which we are, pure unconditional love, and the freedom to express it as we see fit. Unfortunately, because the many are unconscious of the spiritual purpose of their lives here in this realm, they create and keep recreating a life of pain and suffering for not only themselves but others. Yes, it is safe to say the many are confused and disconnected from this eternal truth, disallowing the freedom to experience uninhibited in this realm. They are creating the prison in which they live, because they are allowing the nonsense and the illogical to continue. When did we, as a human race, stop being loyal to our greatness, which is the very origins of our pain and suffering, being in a spiritual slumber unto ourselves? Every soul desires freedom from the bondage of the self-imposed prison of believing mediocrity is acceptable, or to be a slave to another is okay. Can't you see your truth is fighting for acknowledgement? Remember, perceived fear nor perceived safety will ever bring peace. We all have the power and the God-given right of free will to change the perceived unchangeable. Falsely held perceptions of powerlessness are but an illusion, creating the confusion where you cannot see inward nor outward with spiritual clarity. American patriot Thomas Jefferson profoundly stated, "We are free when we can understand our options and choose to exercise them." This programmed reality of deceptions and darkness has significantly diminished our ability to think with any amount of spiritual logic, because we have lost our intuitive connection that allows the guidance provided by our eternal selves to flow. Therefore, humanity is in a continual state of quiet desperation, where each day is filled with the sole focus of surviving the fear-filled programs within our hearts, minds, and bodies, where hopelessness, helplessness, and powerlessness permeate our perceived state of falsely held beliefs we hold about ourselves. Self-betrayal at its finest, wouldn't you say? It is these very senseless acts of self-betrayal born out of a perceived sense of unworthiness that has thrown our world into a state of chaos and crisis, one in which we need to wake the fuck up from being sleepless in suburbia, because we are not helpless. The current totality of your life is nothing more than a truthful reflection of what each of you thinks, believes, and feels moment to moment. Humanity's complicity in this falsely held unworthiness will be the death of a great race of souls who have lost their way. Lies, lies, and more lies. We are a society who can't tell fact from fiction anymore. When will humanity awaken to the fact their thoughts are not their own anymore? Consequently, we have such a difficult time discerning the truth because deceit comes from every angle and aspect of our lives. The lies come from our government officials, pharmaceutical companies, mass media, medical system based in falsehoods. And these are just a few avenues of deception and lies we hold so firmly to, because they all have our best interests at heart. If I sound cynical, I do not apologize for what is so blatantly obvious. Unfortunately, the impact of such social engineering is quite evident, as the many do the bidding of the few, without regard for logic nor personal responsibility. Not to mention the silent complicity of harm to those who are innocent and less fortunate than you. What, did you think just because you won't acknowledge the pain and suffering of another, it doesn't exist? Yes, it is true. Social indoctrination relies heavily on humanity being a thoughtless and selfless populace, aimlessly following the status quo. The craziest part of such madness is humanity will spend a lifetime trying to make sense of nonsense that is being spouted by our politicians and reinforced by the mass media psyop operation, filling us with any amount of disinformation at any moment to keep the masses confused and disoriented. Well, mark my words, you will never have freedom of choice when you can't even have an honest thought of clarity. So I tell you this, don't be shocked by the chaos in the world, for it is a perfect reflection of the thoughts in the minds and the falsely held beliefs of the many. We can no longer deny the fact our individual choices are not impacting the whole of humanity. And if you falsely think your little life in suburbia is perfect, I only need to ask one simple question to know the truth of what is. How does your life feel? Has the life you created speak so loudly you don't even have to utter a single word to describe it? Yes, most assuredly, I can say with great confidence, many deny the greatness within, becoming sleepless in suburbia, while being committed to and disciplined in the art of self-deception. Listen up. If you find yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically broken, you have betrayed unconditional self-love in one or all aspects which define your physical experience. The time has come to use this reflection to your advantage, to become grounded in the truth of spiritual knowing where nothing nor no one can disturb your peace. To let go of an intolerable life, you must let go of a perceived fear and the need for a perceived safety, because neither will bring any amount of joy, peace, nor freedom, for that matter. You must be willing to shed that false persona of who you think you are and the meaningless life you think is needed to feel safe. You must begin to correlate what is happening in the physical with wisdom-filled spiritual purpose. I can't stress this enough. There is a spiritual purpose to what is going on right now. Currently, the others are impeding our physical abilities to freely, without infringement, to experience spiritual growth. This is not the natural order of things. This is the truth of what I speak to. Stop looking for a savior to save you from yourselves. Time is running out. Again, this is not a game. Stand for the spiritual truth like your life and liberty depends upon it, because it does. Stop apathetically giving away your power in exchange for a false sense of safety. You are not weak, so stop acting pathetically helpless. Don't be complicit in your own downfall, because if you don't take a stand against the others, humanity will fall. Again, being disempowered and controlled by another is not the natural order of this realm. Stop betraying yourself and the truth. Don't let the craziness out there distract you from what you need to do. I implore you to stand united and righteous to expose the truth, expose the others, no matter what. Don't be afraid to speak what is true and honest, nor to take action when it is needed. I will not lie to you. Much suffering is coming. However, take solace in knowing a perfect storm is brewing, offering the opportunity of spiritual choice that expands the seeking soul. What we choose to do despite the fear within will be our true test and affect generations to come. Listen, suffering without gaining spiritual wisdom is the worst kind of suffering, whereas emotional pain that instills strength, courage, and wisdom that expands the seeking soul creates a shift, individually and collectively. Let me be clear. How long the chaos and suffering last will depend upon each individual soul of light who wakes from their spiritual slumber, deciding to take back their power. It is a time to take back this realm from the souls of darkness who desire to imprison, dominate, and inflict the most significant amount of pain and suffering possible. The spiritual takedown upon us is a well thought out strategic act of war upon humanity, which is being instituted in swift but incremental steps with the goal of total global domination. The bioweapon coronavirus released globally is very much real and is not a hoax. It is a mechanism first and foremost of depopulation and is only the first wave of what is to come. Do not focus solely upon the virus at this time, as you would be wise to cast your eyes towards surveying the global economic crisis brewing, as the others make way for a monetary cashless society, that they will control how you spend your money. Instead, focus on how the virus is impacting the very aspects of the countries it is decimating. Make no mistake, how various governments in other countries are handling the situation is nothing more than a blueprint for how the people will be controlled in the United States. It is a lock-step mentality that is spreading globally. Look towards the reactions not only of the people being impacted, but how the governments are implementing draconian laws, squashing unrest, and doing away with the individual rights of the people for the sake of safety. This contrived pandemic is not an excuse for tyranny, nor the abolishment of personal freedoms. The right to liberty and freedom is not a privilege to be granted. However, the collective chaos does require each of us to take personal responsibility for our complicity in the destruction of global freedoms by apathetically giving up our power. We must acknowledge our role in the nonsense. Yes, the disease that is spreading is significant, no doubt. The conscious among us need to question the timing, as the others are methodical, calculating, and strategic in every step implemented against humanity. Knowing this, you can't honestly believe they would leave anything to chance. It is all interconnected. Many right now are tracking the death rates and spread of the virus, which is vital information. But remember this, that all information can be manipulated. However, it is also essential to pay particular attention to how the disease is spreading. Question why China was chosen to be the first to have an outbreak. What was the purpose in this? Why has Russia had minimal infections? Make no mistake, nothing is happening by chance. It is all by design. Widen your view, connect the dots, people. I give you permission to think for yourselves. Go ahead, I dare you. It is also very important to pay attention to the dissemination of information coming from the world's governments, global agencies such as the World Health Organization, CDC, our government, especially mass media, because they're all touting the same thing. You know that's usually a lie. While they're all professing to have the people's best interests at heart to keep them from harm, well, I'm calling bullshit on it, and so should you. You don't actually think the delayed response initially by our government was by accident. So I'm going to be a conspiracy realist here and confirm that there is a one world order behind all of this craziness, of which the others are puppeteering, manifesting the chaos currently being experienced globally. Again, it's by design. Although it involves many different countries, the infringement upon personal rights and freedoms being implemented across the board in response to the outbreaks in each country are in lockstep with each other. This is no accident nor coincidence. It is nothing more than a congruent oppression occurring all at once globally. The virus is just a pretext to what's coming, and it is coming swiftly. It is difficult to tell you how things will play out because it's constantly changing to the whim of the chaos ensuing, which depends significantly upon how humanity reacts to the controlled implosion. I need to stress, do not be in fear, nor afraid at this time, as this state of mind only reinforces the desired panic and chaos, which dissipates any and all logic. I would highly suggest taking a logical, methodical, and strategic view on how you respond and take action in the coming days, weeks, and months, if not years. It is time to do what the others have done, but do it for good. Humanity can't stop what is ensuing. It's going to happen with spiritual purpose, creating the fall of darkness and the resurrection of the souls of light, who will restore the natural order of this realm. Remember, darkness is but an invitation to the light of truth. We are the only ones who can save us now. We have the power to write the ending to the ensuing madness. This is why I repeatedly direct, stop looking for a savior, because we are the saviors we wait for, to resurrect and rise and answer the call. Mark my words. If we give up even an inch of the rights endowed to the souls of light by God herself, there will be no going back, because the only thing that will be under control will be us. With significant intensity, I must direct each of you to wake from slumbering in the quiet desperation of hopelessness in suburbia, to remember your greatness, to remember what you are capable of, to stand united while exposing the truth no matter what. For it is time to create a righteous cause based on spiritual truths to restore the natural order. This pandemic is not an excuse for tyranny on any level. There are fates worse than death. A life of tyranny and slavery is one of them. And for fuck's sake, stop fighting amongst yourselves. You are wasting precious time. In the end, no one will give a rat's ass whether you are Democrat, Republican, or whatever label you are identifying yourself by these days. Jesus, people, you worry about such stupid shit. I must ask, what's more critical, toilet paper or your freedom? Humanity on a whole just cannot fathom the evil they are dealing with, nor the depths they are willing to go to complete their plan of total domination over the souls of light. For they want nothing better to inflict untold pain and suffering upon us. Again, their hatred for us runs deep. It is a false idea to think that you can fight the darkness of the world by playing by their rules when you are held to them while they are not. Again, I cannot repeat this enough. What you do with the truth of what is coming will be your true test. This I can say with much confidence. Courage is a virtue and is very much lacking in the world today. We either stand together or we fall together. John F. Kennedy stated, "A man does what he must in spite of personal consequences, in spite of obstacles and dangers and pressures, and that is the basis of all human morality." I say, maybe putting some fucking humanity back in people might just be the game changer that is needed. I, for one, will not be accepting of any martial laws instituted relinquishing me from life and liberty for the sake of perceived safety. And not just for me, but for the generations to come who are at risk of never knowing a world of true freedom. Is that what you want for your children and grandchildren, I ask? So with that said, enough already with your ill-conceived plan of just hoping everything will turn out okay. For this, I tell you, is not a plan based on logic nor fact. Just because you deny what you can see with your own eyes doesn't mean a spiritual takedown is not happening. Make no mistake, they are coming for us, and they will stop at nothing to see this through to the end. However, it is we who hold all the power, and the sooner we wake to this fact, the better it will be for humanity. Unfortunately, many buy into the illogical, out of fear-based program patterns of thoughts and beliefs. Listen, your life is your responsibility. So I must ask you, are you blinded to the truth because of what you desperately need to be true? Because truthful action is required in the face of honesty and clarity, because anything else is intolerable. Sadly, humanity, instead of trusting and having faith in themselves, mistakenly put their trust in those with malicious intent who deceptively promise to protect and keep them from harm, which is nothing more than unfortunate lip service, leading to the immeasurable pain and suffering that is coming. Unfortunately, many choose their politicians based on who they falsely believe can save them. However, when that politician fails to be the saving grace they hoped for, they blame them, and not the one who voted for the politician in the first place. Yeah, I'm speaking to all the sheeple out there. In a world upside down and backwards, we have it within our power to change the circumstances of our existence. Jesus, I beg of you to stop waiting for that Savior to save you from yourselves. You are the saviors spoken of in every ancient text foretelling the resurrection of the gods who will save the earth in the end times. Each and every one of us has it within our power to take a stand, restoring the natural order of things. Time is running out for the souls of light. You must awaken from your spiritual slumber and see the truth of what is going on. Again, for what is coming cannot be stopped. Yet how we choose to react and take action to the escalating chaos within the control grid going up will be the determining factor in ending the nonsense. I beg of you to stand firm and courageous to do what is right. We must all choose a side. There is no middle ground here. Dante stated, "The hottest places in hell are reserved for those who in time of great moral crisis maintain neutrality." Every person on this planet is divinely perfect in the intention of the Creator herself, for this is the truth of all of you. Now, how you choose to express yourself is totally a different matter. What you came to believe about yourself is through the interpretation of how others reacted to you because of their past programming, thereby becoming the false reality of self you embody. You started believing the lies and stopped spiritually knowing what is true for you. I am here to tell you self-awareness is self-empowerment. The collective welfare is depending upon what you choose in the moments of your life going forward. Each of us has a personal responsibility to leave a mark on the world by expressing stand-up greatness. What you do matters. What you don't do matters. Each of us must be a warrior of truth and a servant of light who brings hope not only to ourselves, but to the dehumanized and cast aside, because whether they know it or not, the human race deserves a fighting chance. Each of us must be that warrior of truth and servant of light. As every soul of light is being called up into active duty, rise and take your place among the living. If need be, show the way without speaking a word, well, revealing and expressing the righteous path. Righteousness, not in the religious sense, but where the thought of betraying unconditional self-love by harming yourself or another would be unthinkable. Dare to be brilliant, not perfect. Become unstoppable and bring the light of clarity to the deception of darkness. Be tenacious and courageous in the mission you accepted and vowed to complete. Do not hide behind the profound consent of silence any longer, as your soul has been silenced for way too long. You might start by getting off your knees and knowing you were meant for greatness at this moment in history. I implore you to stand firm, even if you happen to be the only one standing for truth. Forge a path, if need be, where there isn't one. Show the way. It is true you can't talk anyone into wisdom. But know this, the brilliant light of living your truth will fall on the shoulders of those around you, illuminating their way forward, inspiring them to have the courage to stand alongside you. Remember, your actions speak louder than words. What do you suppose your current choices and actions are saying about you right now? The time is now to lift the veil of unworthiness that is suffocating us, which enslaves us all. The truth is fighting for existence. We must remember who we are spiritually, and this will go a long way to heal the pain and suffering of the collective experience. Now, I don't want you to get the wrong impression here. I'm not about the whole earth experiencing a love fest, far from it. What I speak to is returning to a spiritual way of being, the natural order of this realm, without interference, without manipulation from outside forces. A true freedom, a true free will. I often wonder what would happen if the world's governments were not corporations putting power and greed before the people. And what if the current food supply wasn't contaminated with unprecedented levels of toxins, creating undue suffering and disease? What if the ancient arts of healing were taught in every school and practiced in every home? What if every child on earth were taught to embrace their spiritual greatness and God-given right of self-governance, along with taking personal responsibility for their individual journeys? What if every person on the planet starts to express unconditional self-love, choosing not to inflict harm upon themselves or another? Do you suppose the world would immediately transcend the pain and suffering currently being experienced? Lastly, I leave you with something to reflect and ponder upon. I sincerely hope the life you chose doesn't run out before the life you deserve shows up. Because it is through the journey of I-ness, the we-ness of humanity restores the natural order, returning the ability to freely choose peace over pain. Again, I must remind you to remember your greatness and what you are capable of, to stand united, exposing the truth no matter what, to create a righteous cause based on spiritual truths as time is running out. First and foremost, seek a peaceful path in all of your experiences. Resolve never again to betray unconditional self-love. The peaceful way is one where you feel the resonance of truth deep within your soul's knowing and decide to take a stand to protect the spiritual truth of what is. The peaceful path is not one of submission, because that would be cowering before the darkness. and we were never meant to bow before anyone. Rise up and be counted among the living. Never, never be okay with less than the grandest version of yourselves. To be or not to be is the question before humanity. The duality of this world is offering you the opportunity to choose between life or death. Spiritually, that is. Reveal the God within, becoming the creator you are meant to be while expressing brilliance, and the world will be better for it. And for God's sakes, stop forcing the need to be positive about the chaos in the world. From my perspective, forcing the need to be positive is nothing short of putting perfume on a pig. Before long, the stench of shit will rise. Attempting to be positive alongside your quiet desperation will undoubtedly create more internal and external chaos for all to share in. Positivity can't be forced into existence. So stop the need to feel positive about the meaningless and the illogical in the hopes of avoiding the very thing that you need to acknowledge, which is the truth of what is going on. Your life reeks of poisonous self-loathing and a perceived sense of helplessness. That is the very weakness being used against the whole of humanity. Peace is the absence of pain. When every spiritual being on the planet chooses peace over pain, the world will be transformed in the twinkling of an eye, as the veil of darkness filled with seething evil and hatred for us will lift. It is this senseless act of self-betrayal that is creating the chaos in the world where pain reigns supreme over peace. It would behoove all of us to remember one of the founding fathers of our country, Samuel Adams' profound words: "You are either a tyrant, a slave, or free." And I am asking, which one are you? Finally, remember, what you do matters. What you don't do matters. What you choose in the moments of perceived fear is writing either the ending or the true beginning for the souls of light in this realm. It is the individual I-ness that begets the collective we-ness. Stand and answer the call to be immovable in the face of fear by revealing the divine power within. Time is running out to choose peace over pain. Humanity and the generations to come are counting on all of us to do the right thing, to do the truthful thing. Thank you for your time today, and I hope some of my words resonated, gave you courage, gave you hope. Yes, the world as we know it is coming to an end. But that is not necessarily a bad thing. There has been too much pain and suffering. There has been too much dominance and control. There has been too much loss of freedoms, life, and liberty. We must turn this around, and it's going to require some turbulent times, but we will stand strong because we are powerful. We came here to do what was necessary at this point in history, to make it better for the generations to come. So let's all get out there and till our gardens so we can plant something beautiful.